Hello. Um, I'm talking about object shows for the first time ever. And you might be like, oh wow, I didn't know. I mean, that's a lie. I was gonna say that you probably didn't know I liked them, but I make DVIs. I obviously like object shows too. They're basically the same thing, except for object shows are a lot better. And actually, I'm voice acting in one currently as Monaco in Battle for Monopoly Money, and I'm a writer and a voice actor in an unknown project right now. So that's gonna be fun. But this video isn't about that. That's for a future day. But right now, let's talk about BFB, Battle for Dream Island, or well. Then it was changed to Battle for, 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 Battle for. And it basically it's infinite because it's Battle for BFB halfway through, so Battle for, yeah, it's confusing. But yeah. And we're talking about one of the biggest teams in there, Team Beep. Yep, Beep. The team in BFB consisted of Cloudy, David, Woody, Leafy, Nickel, Bloomy, Rocky, and Robody. The team, not before the split obviously, had been tied with Team Ice Cube as the team that lost the most challenges in all of BFB. Okay? Like, think about that. This team lost more than, like, let's say, Ions, who they could not get along at all. You know, half the team hated the other half. The alliance was falling apart. There was Snowball, for God's sake. Just, the team could not keep themselves together, but Beep lost more than them. Let's talk about why. They're going through all the episodes and saying why this happened. Episode 1. We don't really see too much of Beep. You know, solo, we just see that Cloudy and Nickel seem to be friends with Leafy. But before the teams are formed, and then when they are, the teams are formed by Leafy, who basically just invites all the people that she thinks could use help to the team. That happened. The challenge was worked on by, Cloudy, but, Cloudy wasn't fast enough, so Looney got bored and did the challenge himself. Episode 2. Beep surprisingly didn't do all that much. They kind of just worked on the challenge. Robody didn't show up though, they were meditating or something somewhere. Balloony was still deflated, well, until the end of the episode, where Leafy kind of, popped them. Yay. And, Leafy got mad at Cloudy for not doing exactly what Leafy wanted. That happened, not too much. And, because of that, Beep ended up going up for elimination that episode. Episode 3. Beep's elimination happened, and Leafy got eliminated, leaving the team leaderless. Somewhat. I'll get to that later. And later, to do the challenge, Cloudy just does the challenge for them. They didn't have much screen time until, after Leafy's eliminated, they don't get screen time in that episode. Episode 4. Episode 4, they also don't do too much, but the challenge happens where, they have to design 4, but, they decide to make a cake out of vomit. David doesn't like this, and Balloony gets mad at David. That's essentially what happens. Episode 5. Also not that big of a role in the episode, surprisingly. The challenge is they are in giant paper planes and they have to not hit the ground. David is steering their paper airplane until he falls asleep. So Woody does it by stabbing, because of course he does. But that doesn't work, and they go up for elimination yet again. Second time. I think that's the first team to go for elimination twice. Now, 6. Beep goes to elimination, and despite David using the bottom 2 last time and also falling asleep in the challenge, Robody is the one to get the boot. Beep actually doesn't do anything else in the episode, surprisingly, especially with this episode being more character-driven, I guess you could say, compared to the rest of the FB. But yeah, Beep doesn't do anything. Oh, I forgot to mention last episode that Cloudy got bandages so they can't fly. Episode 7. Balloony kinda dies. And that's kinda all that happens. Nothing else happens with Beep except for they don't lose. Episode 8. With Balloony dead, and Balloony somewhat filling their leadership position, since they didn't really have one since Leaf left, Cloudy does the challenge. Other than that, nothing goes on. Episode 9. Episode 9? The basketball one, yes. Episode 9, they have to do basketball. Balloony's dead, and 4's gone, so no recovery. So the only people on their team with arms are David and Woody. Woody is too scared to throw basketballs into the basket, and David doesn't feel like it. Nickel feels like giving up, but Woody does throw one in, which isn't enough, and they go to elimination for the 3rd time. Episode 10 rolls around, and actually, this episode is interesting for Beep. Well, first off, the episode starts with Cloudy talking to X about how they miss Balloony. Right? Because Balloony's dead, so it creates a connection between the two. Right? Balloony, Cloudy, they're friends. And then David gets eliminated, because he was in the bottom 2 twice. So, like, yeah, it was between him and Rocky, so it's like it could be suspenseful, but yeah. Episode 11 is, not much for Beep. Balloony does the challenge and they win. At least that's what I would say if it wasn't for Leafy came back. Yay. Leafy eventually tries to rejoin Beep. They don't want him at her. So Leafy joins the losers. So it reinforces the fact that the rest of Beep, even though they are down in numbers, they'd still rather not have Leafy compared to others. Episode 12 happens, which you might not think is all that grand, but I think episode 12 is important for Beep. They don't do much. Basically the challenge is someone's mind's in another person's body. You gotta figure out who's not on your team. In Beep, Nickel uses a fork to scare Woody to make sure that they're real. Balloony gets mad and wrestles Nickel, where Balloony pops from the fork. Now, you might think, oh, well, that's not much. But it is. Because Nickel has never done anything. Never. Nickel hasn't been important before. Right, BFDIA, kinda, I guess. But this is the first time Nickel's really shined somewhat. Still, not doing much in the episode, but this is the most he has done. And what he has done is made it clear that him and Balloony don't get along. Which I think is important, especially for later. Episode 13 happens. Nothing happens to Beep in this episode. They kind of just start the challenge. It's a 2-parter, but nothing happens. Episode 14. That is Beep's episode. Somewhat. It's definitely more Team Bleh than compared to Beep, but it is still has a lot of Beep. Beep is falling down a thing of acid. The floor is acid, so Cloudy keeps them from falling in the acid. But then suddenly, oh no, lava ceiling. So they're stuck between acid floor, lava ceiling, and they can't go left or right. So Nichols says, well, we use Rocky's vomit to create another path, which is how the acid got there. but, Rocky's stomach is empty. So Baloney, without even thinking about Nickel, suggests Rocky eat Nickel, reinforcing that they don't have a good connection. So Rocky eats Nickel, and, they're able to get to the bottom. Well, it's not the bottom, but they're able to get to the top of Golf Ball's underground factory, where, because the lava is still falling into their hole, Baloney tries to scratch their way through the metal factory door, which obviously isn't going to happen. But then they use Naily to break through. Well, kind of. Baloney, Rocky, and Cloudy all die before they break through, so that leaves only Woody alive for Team Beep. They get to the factory, and Woody eventually has to go through a weird vent thing to survive, and he gets an emerald, making it so he is not up for elimination for the 4th time, luckily. Episode 15. Nothing happens. Woody's the only one alive, and I don't actually think Woody gets the rest to be recovered. Woody is tiny for this episode and the next one, but they don't actually cover that at all, weirdly enough. Episode 16. The split happens, where staying with 4 and battling for the BFB, Woody, Leafy, and Baloney of Beep. Well, Leafy is on the losers, but you know what I mean. Then on the other side of things, there's Rocky, Cloudy, and Nickel, who decide to move to Teapot. And this is the end of Beep. No more Beep. But there's still more we can talk about. Post-split BFB. The final 14. Baloney gets 14. Before they leave, though, it's clear that they're still not liking Leafy, and Baloney makes an alliance with Lollipop for an episode. Baloney and Woody never really talk, showing that they didn't really have a connection. Woody doesn't like Leafy at first, but they eventually somewhat make up. But still, nothing really happens post-split when it comes to Beep interactions. But then there's Teapot. In Teapot, or the Power of 2, they have to make brand new teams. And of Nickel, Cloudy, and Rocky and Cloudy decide they are gonna stay on the same team. Interestingly enough, they don't invite Nickel, because Nickel is kind of just dragged onto a team. But I can't say what. By that point in time, Rocky and Cloudy could have gotten Nickel, but they didn't, which is interesting. Quick analysis. So Beep lost 3 times in all of BFB, and once they were split up, they didn't interact much. There weren't too many close connections other than Cloudy and Baloney, and kind of Woody and Leafy. And then here's why Beep was doomed from the very start. Beep was made by Leafy because they wanted people that they thought needed help. So that means they weren't trying to get a strong team or a good team. They're trying to get the worst of the worst. Cloudy, no limbs, and didn't communicate that well. Rabody, can't talk, no limbs. David is David. Nickel, no arms, and just was kind of a background character. Rocky, can't talk, no arms. Woody's scared of everything, and Baloney can pop instantly. So that combination made it so their team wasn't the strongest in general. They had, I think, the most armless players of any team. Except for maybe a better name than that, but even then I'm not sure. And it was very much their downfall. None of them were exceptionally smart. When Leafy Baloney somewhat took a leadership position, but even then, Baloney never really acted like a leader. Meaning that Beep eventually all got cut off, none of them making it to the BFB finale. And, we'll see what happens in T-Ball. In conclusion, Beep was a bad team. Beep could not survive with the members it had. But it was fun to watch how this oddball misfit team interacted, and I always found it a lot of fun when I saw them. They were probably one of my favourite teams in the competition. But that's all for now. Just wanted to quickly rant about, beep a bit. Goodbye.